Wow, what a fantastic crowd. Thank you, Edmonton. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making yourself a positive part of the most important decision that this country is going to make in decades. Canada right now needs change more desperately than it perhaps ever has. And it needs someone to lead that change, my friends. As someone who had the honor of serving as your Prime Minister, I know that being Prime Minister is a trust. It is a trust to take this incredible country that our ancestors bequeathed us and to leave it stronger, more united, more compassionate, and more confident than we found it. That's what we did, my friends, but that is not the story of the past decade, and that has got to change for Canada. Chers amis, je me trouve dans une position unique pendant cette campagne. Je suis la seule personne pour qui les deux candidats au poste de Premier ministre ont travaillé. Et mon choix sans équivoque est Pierre Poilievre. You know, friends, I am in a unique position in this federal election. I am the only person who can say that both of the men running to be Prime Minister once worked for me. And in that regard, my choice, without hesitation, without equivocation, without a shadow of a doubt, is Pierre Poilievre. I have known Pierre Poilievre for a quarter of a century. Since he was a very young man, the first time I met him, I could see that he was smart, articulate, possessing tremendous passion for our country and strong convictions about sound public policy. In 2004, during the time of my leadership, Pierre's parliamentary career began. He went progressively from a backbench MP to a parliamentary secretary, to a junior cabinet minister, to a senior cabinet minister, and of course, to party leader. And in all of those roles, he worked, he fought, and he learned. Because it is not just that Pierre excelled in all of those roles. In all of them, he grew. He got better and better. Friends, don't let anyone tell you that he was born to be Prime Minister, or that he can just somehow parachute into the job fully prepared. Political experience, elected, accountable political experience, and the capacity for growth with that political experience, that is what Pierre has demonstrated for 2 decades, and that is the single most important characteristic a Prime Minister needs. And by the way, I say that as the guy who actually did lead Canada through the global financial crisis. I hear there's someone else claiming it was him. It was, of course, our government, the late, great Jim Flaherty, and our Conservative team who were responsible for the day-to-day macroeconomic management during that challenging time. And friends, it's no secret that our country faces today another historically challenging time in the form of the Trump administration. There is no sugarcoating that. But the bulk of the problems that afflict our country, falling living standards, declining employment and housing opportunities, rising crime, the growing divisions between our regions and our people, these were not created by Donald Trump. They were created by the policies of 3 Liberal terms, policies that the present Prime Minister supported and wants a 4th Liberal term to continue. Pierre has consistently opposed those policies. Policies that have put costs up, accelerated crime, left our wealth in the ground, and made our economy vulnerable and under America's thumb. And Pierre has, just as importantly, long advocated the positive alternatives for change, to axe those taxes, build homes, bring back jobs, get our resources to the whole world. And stand up to Washington from a position of strength. Friends, I believe that the challenge this country faces today from the United States, as real and serious as it is, should not be another excuse for Liberal failure. Instead, it should be a historic opportunity. That's how we've got to see it. An opportunity to make Canada what it should be. Internally united, internationally connected, a truly independent economy with the highest living standards in the world. And with those benefits enjoyed not just by protected elites, but by all the people of this country in every region of this country. Do bring it home, friends, because that goal does not depend on Donald Trump. It depends on us. But we will only get there with leadership from a person who has an actual policy plan, from a person who has been right on all the big issues for a decade, and a person who has the energy and, yes, the youth to take us forward into a better, stronger, and more united future. That person has been my colleague, he is my friend, he is our leader, and he is the next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poilievre and Anna.
Generations Who's ready for change in Canada? Who's ready to axe some taxes? Who's ready to build some homes? Who's ready for some pipelines to make us independent from the Americans? And who's ready to put Canada first for a change? I think he's ready too. He wants to fight me for the microphone. Wow, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay up here. Cruz, c'est quoi ça? C'est quoi ça? He wants to steal my microphone from me. I think he wants, little Cruz wants to be Prime Minister. He'd be much better than what we have right now, I think. But speaking of Prime Ministers, let's show some gratitude for the greatest Prime Minister of the 21st century, the Right Honourable Stephen Harper. Prime Minister, it is an incredible honor to have you here on this stage. It was a little surreal, I have to confess. I remember when I met then economist Stephen Harper a quarter of a century ago, before he was even back in Parliament and running for leader. And then I remember serving with him for all those years as he took us through the tumultuous times of the war in Afghanistan, the great global recession. Always and everywhere, he was solid, competent, honest, decent, down to earth, a man who could, in the words of Kipling, walk with kings but never lose his common touch. He is the greatest mentor I could ever ask for. So who is ready for common sense Canada First government like we had under Stephen Harper? And to be back in my home province, here in Alberta. It's incredible. Let's bring it home, my friends. Look, this has got to be the biggest political gathering of the 21st century. Look, it is. I even have my mother and my brother here. Where are they? There they are. My mother's over there. My brother, Patrick. A lot of good memories from Edmonton. You know, a lot of them are not entirely good because I grew up a Flames fan in the 80s, so it could be very painful. We lost more than one game, both at the Saddle Dome and at McMahon Stadium. But we always used to love to come up here to West Edmonton Mall. We only had Chinook Centre in Calgary. But my mom and dad would put us in the car. We'd do a little road trip up here and go on the roller coaster and that big ship, and we'd celebrate everything that was great about being alive in this country, that my folks work hard, even though it was hard times. They could afford to take us on little road trips. And they always taught us about the Canadian promise, the promise that hard work would pay off, that anyone who got out of bed in the morning and put in some effort could have a beautiful house on a safe street, protected by brave troops under our proud flag, that anyone from anywhere could do anything. And that's why I got into politics, to reinforce that promise. And in our time in government with Prime Minister Harper, we did. We left the country richer, stronger, and safer. Let's just take a moment and go back 10 years. 10 years ago, Inflation was rock bottom, so were interest rates. Taxes were falling faster than at any time in our history. The budget was balanced, and crime had fallen by 25% because we locked up the worst criminals and left law-abiding hunters and sport shooters to enjoy their property. In fact, small towns were so safe, many people didn't even bother to lock their doors. Housing cost half of what it does today. I would know, I was the housing minister at the time. And you could rent the average apartment for under $1,000 a month. Take-home pay had gone up 10% above and beyond inflation and interest rates and taxes. The New York Times had just declared that Canada had the richest middle class in the world. Yes, when this Liberal government first took office, Canada was the richest and safest country anywhere around. We were a beautiful place to live with boundless opportunity. And yet, a decade later, what do we see when we look around us? Inflation, already having hit a 40-year high, is now once again on the rise. Housing costs have more than doubled after Liberals promised to lower them. Canadian homes now cost 50% more than they do in the United States, and you can actually buy a castle in Sweden for a lower price than a house in Kitchener today. Canada has the second slowest building permits in the OECD. Nothing can get built. We're very hard on entrepreneurs and law-abiding hunters under this Liberal government, but very easy on criminals who shoot up our streets and have doubled gun crime across this country. The economy is shrinking. It is smaller today in per capita terms than it was a decade ago. We have lost $500 billion of net investment flowing out of our country into the welcoming arms of the United States. My friends, this is the lost Liberal decade, and the choice in this election is whether we are going to allow a fourth term of rising costs and crime and a falling economy, or whether it is time for a new Conservative government that will put Canada first for a change. Après la décennie perdue. Yes, we are going to bring it home. Après la décennie perdue. Après la décennie perdue des libéraux, avec les coûts et la criminalité qui augmentent et l'économie qui est en baisse et sous le contrôle des Américains, le choix est entre un quatrième mandat libéral ou bien un nouveau gouvernement qui va mettre le Canada d'abord pour faire changement. Now, the Liberals are trying to pull a fast one. They have a very simple strategy in this election. And here's what it is. Make you forget about the last 10 years. Everything they do will be about bringing collective amnesia of all the damage they've done. The first trick they've tried is replacing Justin Trudeau with his economic advisor and a hand-picked successor, Mark Carney. Now, despite the artificially inflated resume and the more carefully combed hair and the banker's suit, there is no change. It is the same Liberal ministers, same Liberal MPs, same Liberal strategists making the same Liberal promises they have been making for the last 10 years. We know the results. Mark Carney has spent the last 2 months taking for credit for things he did not do, but refusing to take responsibility for the things he actually did. He was Justin Trudeau's economic advisor for the last 5 years, during which time he supported not only keeping the carbon tax, but hiking the tax. He opposed He opposed the Northern Gateway Pipeline in testimony before a parliamentary committee. He opposed that pipeline while profiting off of foreign pipelines himself. You know, it is no wonder that Donald Trump says he wants Mark Carney and the Liberals to stay in power, because he knows that as long as the Liberals are there, Canada's economy will be weak and reliant on the Americans. But guess what? Donald Trump doesn't get to choose our next Prime Minister. Canadians do, and they're going to vote for a change. It's not just Donald Trump that says it would be easier to deal with the Liberals. Today, again, the Chinese government was out campaigning for the Liberals, supporting Mark Carney, just like they did during the leadership race of that party. And who would wonder why? Mr. Carney, while he was economic advisor to Justin Trudeau, actually went to China to get his company a $250 million loan. A loan that his company still owes, and a company in which he continues to be invested. We cannot trust Mark Carney to put our country first. He never has, he never will. We need an end to the long, Liberal, lost decade. It is time for a change and a new day for Canada. We're going to take back control of our economic lives. You know, we've all been chanting, "Bring it home" today. That term, that expression, has very real meaning. One, we're going to bring home our production and paychecks from abroad. And two, you are going to bring home more of your hard-earned paycheck. And isn't it great to have Brett Kissel here, the great country music star who sang "Our Home"? Way to go, Brett. Thank you very much, my friend. You got a message for people?
Edmonton and Canada, it's very important to understand the human being that Pierre is. The guy who's become my friend, and somebody who truly believes in the future of Canada and understands that the past 10 years we've had have not been great. But Pierre is here with all of his colleagues and with all of his heart to make a significant change for a brighter future, something that each and every one of us truly want, not just for us, but for our kids and our grandkids, and Pierre is the guy to do it.
And our Bring It Home plan starts with a big patriotic tax cut on work, investment, energy, and home building. We will lead the charge to reward hard work by cutting income tax by 15% for the average worker and senior. This tax cut will enable our workers to gain more by putting in an extra hour, earning a bonus, or getting a promotion. It will allow our families to spend more money at our local businesses, giving us a boost at a time when our economy is weak and under attack. And it will ensure that dollars are left in the hands of the person who earned them instead of in the hands of the politician who taxed them. Bringing it home means favoring the things that are made here at home. And that's why we've announced we will axe the sales tax on all Canadian-made cars. Let's create some jobs for our auto workers in Ontario, too. And then there's the famous carbon tax. Now, remember, up until only a few months ago, the Liberals were telling us that the entire planet was going to be lit on fire if we didn't pay a 61 cent a liter carbon tax at the pumps. They passed that into law, a law that is still in place today. But in order to make you forget about their carbon tax, 28 days before the election, they decided to hide it from the gas pumps. Don't worry, if God forbid they are reelected, the tax will be back by May 1st. Remember, the day they took it off at the pump was April 1st, April Fool's Day. But Canadians are not fools. They know that Mark Carney has openly said he wants a higher tax and that he wants it to apply on Canadian industry. That's another thing he and Trump have in common. They both want to tax our industry, Trump with tariffs and Carney with carbon taxes. Well, my friends, with me, there is no doubt. There has been no equivocation my entire career in public service. I will axe the tax for everyone, for everything, for real, for good, forever. And then there's the tax on our investment. Canadian workers only get 55 cents of investment for every dollar an American worker gets. That's why we generate in Canada 50 bucks an hour worked. You take our GDP, divide it by the number of hours we work, it works out to 50 bucks in US. In America, it's $83. So they're making more than 50% above what we make in an hour worked. Why is that? We have better workers than they do. Our workers work harder, but they don't get the tools and technology because we punish investment in this country. Recently, the Liberals tried to raise the capital gains tax to punish our entrepreneurs. We need to do exactly the opposite. And that is why I have announced the Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains tax when you reinvest your gains in Canada to bring it home. Bring it home. And then there's the worst tax of all, the inflation tax. Now, inflation tax is when the government doesn't want you to know they're taking your money. So instead of passing a law to raise your burden out in the open, they just print more money to fund their irresponsible spending. This floods the economy with cheap cash. So in a 4-year period, while Mark Carney was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau, the money supply grew from $1.8 trillion to $2.5 trillion, a 40% increase in the amount of bills, coins, and bank deposits, during which time the real economy grew by 4%. So the money grew 10 times faster than the stuff that money buys. If you have an economy with 10 apples and $10, it's $1 an apple. Double the dollars to 20, but still have 10 apples, you're not twice as rich. It's just each apple now costs twice as much. That's inflation. Now, it's great news if you work for Brookfield, right? Because that inflation, according to the CEO of Brookfield and best buddy of Mark Carney, that inflation allowed them to raise rent on tenants, allowed their assets to be artificially inflated, allowed them to fill their pockets by sitting on their big assets. Meanwhile, the working class wage and the senior's pension gets chewed up. It's not that things cost more, it's that your money is worth less. It is a transfer of wealth from the have-nots to the have-yachts. And it is the worst kind of tax possible. When I am Prime Minister, we will cut back on the spending that causes inflation in the first place. We will cut bureaucracy, consultants, handouts to corporate insiders, and we will cut foreign aid to dictators, terrorists, and global bureaucracies to bring our money home. And we'll bring in a common sense law. My mother is here. She used to have those coupon books. Did you ever have those? Anybody have those? Remember when you used to sell those coupon books? My mother would drive clear across Calgary to go to a restaurant to get beef on a bun that would have a coupon savings on it. She knew how to squeeze every drop of value out of every single dollar. That's what our government should be doing. We should be getting value for money. Now, here's the reason that never happens. Politicians are always spending other people's money. While every other creature in the universe has to live with scarcity, the politician just passes the bill on to you. We will pass a dollar-for-dollar law. It requires we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending, forcing politicians and bureaucrats to make trade-offs between this or that, or get a bargain on this and that. Because you've been pinching your pennies long enough, it's time for government in Ottawa to pinch pennies too. By the way, this was another case of something that Mark Carney got dead wrong. He was asked in 2021, 4 years ago, as a former central banker, are you worried about inflation? He said, no, I'm worried that prices might actually go down. He then said, but he hoped there would be inflation because he thought that would be very good. Well, just like on the carbon tax where Mark Carney was wrong, just like on blocking pipelines where he was wrong, printing money and causing inflation did more damage on every single issue economic of our time. Mark Carney has been wrong. He is wrong in the past and he is wrong for our future. And then we're going to tackle housing. We have the most expensive housing in the G7 after the lost Liberal decade. But most of the cost is just bureaucracy and taxes. That is why a Canada First Conservative government will lead the way. We will axe the sales tax on new homes to save you up to $65,000. We will incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development taxes. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build. And you know something? It warms my heart to think of the beautiful family rolling up in their U-Haul to move into their wonderful new home in the former headquarters of the CBC. I love you too. I love you. I love you. I love this province. I think it's, we got to talk to a scientist or something, but I swear the sky is actually bigger in Alberta. I think it is. There's got to be an explanation. But that's why it feels like there's boundless potential in this province, and there is for this whole country. But we have to bring home our jobs to make it happen. And that starts by repealing the No Development Law C-69 to build pipelines, mines, and everything else. Then there's the production cap. Liberals want to cap energy production in Canada, while the Americans, the Venezuelans, the Saudi Arabians, the Russians increasingly dominate the global energy market. They want to push our jobs and production out of Canada. Now, there was some hope that Mark Carney might flip-flop on that, having supported bans on pipelines his entire career over the last 10 years. But he confirmed just last week that if he is re-elected as Prime Minister, he will keep the anti-development law C-69, he will keep the production cap, and in his words, he will keep 80% of Canada's oil in the ground. We're going to do precisely the opposite. A common sense, Canada First government will repeal the production cap, remove C-69, and commit to the aim of approving major projects in under 6 months. Bring it home. And more than that, we got to do even better. We're actually going to pre-approve permits. So instead of waiting 6 months, imagine this. Imagine if we sit down and we look at a map and we say, well, this would be a great place to build a nuclear plant. Let's do the research and study. Let's line it up with the First Nations, the municipal governments in the province. Let's publish online all the specs, standards, and safety requirements. And let's pre-issue the permit. In other words, create a shovel-ready zone so that industry can show up and just start building things. What do you think? We have incredible potential. We've got the shortest shipping distances to Asia for our natural gas. And it takes 11 days from BC and 20 days from the US Gulf Coast. We've got cold weather that helps liquefy that gas, right? 25% cheaper. It gets cold in Canada. In fact, it was so cold in Ottawa last winter, there were Liberals seen with hands in their own pockets. That same cold weather is perfect for data centers. You know, these incredible data centers need electricity. Microsoft, Meta, Google, they are going to have their own nuclear power plants to charge up these data centers. It takes 10 times as much electricity to do a ChatGPT search than it does a Google search. So to power these things up, we have the surplus of energy. We could be using our gas, our nuclear, our hydro, if we could get the permits done. You know, artificial intelligence is all the rage these days. We have lots of artificial intelligence in the government. It's a bit of a different kind, though. But we need to cut red tape, federal red tape, and I will cut it by 25%. And every time a new regulation comes in, we will be required by law to get rid of 2 previous regulations. So the state and the power in Ottawa is always diminishing. We're going to unlock the potential of our Western energy producing provinces. And when I become Prime Minister, the era of Liberals telling the West to pay up and shut up will be over forever. But if you want to build things, you need people who know how to build. We need boots, not suits. Do we have any trades workers in the house today? Got some trades workers. What do we got here? You're waving. What is your trade? What's your trade? Mechanical insulator. Very important trade. What else do we got here? What do we got? This guy here. Plumber. Yeah, you certainly know when you miss a plumber when you don't have one, right? What do we got over here? A welder? Excellent. Guy joins metals. Give it up for the trades workers. You know, Stephen Harper was in the trades as well. Do you know that? He was a cabinet maker. He had a really good cabinet, way better than the Liberal cabinet. And we're going to have another great cabinet after the election. But I want to acknowledge a great union leader fighting for the Boilermakers. We have Arnie Stadnik. Thank you for your support, Arnie. Thank you very much. Arnie, are we going to build some nuclear power plants in Canada?
Yes, all day, all week, all year, well into the future.
Right on. Give it up for the Boilermakers. Thank you, Arnie. Now, I think university is great. A white-collar education is excellent. But all of our resources in this country have been favoring one kind of education over another. We need to start to honor the trades. My government is going to put aside the funds to train 350,000 young people to go through apprenticeships, get their journeyman's ticket, and get working building things across this country. Boots, not suits. We will bring back Stephen Harper's $4,000 apprenticeship grant that the Liberals recently canceled. And I will be giving a big, beautiful present to every high school principal. I know education is provincial, but there's nothing in the Constitution that says a prime minister can't give a present to a principal. It's going to be a box about the size of this stage. In that box will be a module for how to do a pre-apprenticeship for every single licensed trade, so we can get our 14-year-olds training for trades before they even graduate from school. And I need your help, Arnie. We're going to need these amazing union training halls to get our young people started, getting them a trade. I tell all young people, get a trade, you will always have a job. And we want you to have that job in a safe neighborhood. And so we are going to stop the crime. We're going to stop the crime. Over the last lost Liberal decade, we've seen record chaos explode on our streets. Just moments before I walked on this stage, I met with a lovely young lady, Christina Trang. She's here with us today. Her father was a patriotic, law-abiding, decent man. And one day, he was out for a walk in Chinatown, and he was viciously attacked and killed by a rampant offender who was once again out on bail. That same day, that killer actually took a second life. Am I back? I think it's a Liberal mic. How we doing, everybody? No? Maybe my... We back? What do we got? All right. I think, are we back? No, we're not back. We're not back. Come on over, guy. All right. No.
Check, check. Check, check. Check, check, check.
We stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Thank you. We got a power outage. A power outage. We got a power outage. Can everybody hear me now? There we are. It's a little faint, but we're back. I think it's a miracle. All right, we're back with you. The power is out. There's been a power outage, but all right. Well, listen, my friends, we're going to power through this. We're going to power through this. I know that this seems like it might be a liberal microphone, but we're going to power through it because even under difficult circumstances, we need to stand up and speak out and make our voices loud enough even when the microphone doesn't work. As I was saying earlier, the cause of this crime wave in this country is the catch and release criminal justice system the Liberals have brought in. With C-75, a law that allows criminals to be released under the earliest conditions and the least onerous restrictions. This has allowed the same 40 offenders to be arrested 6,000 times in the city of Vancouver. This crime is entirely preventable. Christina and her family should still have their wonderful father with them. And that is why I am announcing today that a Canada First Conservative government will repeal the catch and release bail law C-75. There will be jail, not bail. But we won't stop there. But we won't stop there. My friends, we will not stop there. Then there's the house arrest law, C-5, which allows the same repeat violent offenders to serve their sentences in the comfort of their living room. We're talking about car thieves who can sit there playing Grand Theft Auto at their home after they've been caught stealing cars for the 100th time. This Liberal law has also been a disaster, and I am announcing today I will repeal it. Our criminals will do their sentences behind bars, and they will stay in jail where they belong. And then there's the drugs. We've been afflicted by a fentanyl crisis that has taken 50,000 of our loved ones. Just recently, I received a letter from a man who told me the touching story about how he held the hand of his wife when she gave birth to their son, and then 25 years later, he held her hand again as a police officer revealed the news on their doorstep that their little boy had died of a drug overdose. The rampant spread of fentanyl has been deadly, and we can stop it. We know how to stop it. We first of all have to treat the mass traffickers and producers of this drug like the murderers that they are, and we will be giving them life sentences behind bars. It's got to happen. Furthermore, we will shut down drug consumption sites near schools, daycares, and other places with vulnerable people. And we will invest in treatment and recovery, rehabilitation that turns lives around, gets people off the streets, and gives them the chance at a better life. We've lost 50,000 of our loved ones to this scourge. In honor of each and every one of them, we will fund treatment for 50,000 Canadians over the next 4 years. And then there's the guns. Thanks for hanging in there with me, everybody. Thanks for hanging in. Thank you very much, especially you folks up there. You have very powerful eardrums. You were able to hear me the whole time. Then there's the guns, illegal guns that are pouring in from the United States through the Liberal government's weak management of our border. Only 1% of shipping containers are actually inspected. And that's how the guns are coming in. We're going to scan the containers, hire 2,000 CBSA frontline officers, bring in watchtowers that can scan the horizon of our frontiers to keep crime, drugs, stolen cars, and other illegal substances out of our country. And I'll tell you how we're going to pay for it. We're going to cancel the ridiculous multi-billion-dollar gun grab that targets licensed, law-abiding Canadians. The Liberals will ban every single hunting rifle in this country. Spread the message far and wide. What are you guys cheering for over there? That's a bad thing. Oh, your speaker came on. Oh, wow, okay. Now I know if there's a random cheer what it's all about. I was just complaining about the Liberals. You guys start cheering. I'm like, what the heck? All right, what I was saying is that the Liberals want to ban your hunting rifle. Do you think it's a good idea? Grandpa Joe's hunting rifle is not the problem. I want to protect Canadians from criminals. Liberals want to protect turkeys from hunters. Canadians will have to decide at election time, because the choice will be between a fourth term of rising costs and crime and a falling economy under America's thumb, or a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, unleash our resources, and bring home our jobs so we can stand up to the Americans with strength for a change. And strength. Strength means that we must rebuild Canada's military, the Canadian forces. Do we have any veterans here in the House today? Give it up for our veterans. Thank you. Thank you for your service. What an incredible honor. There he is. Look at this fellow here. He has D-Day on. Good to see you, sir. Where did you serve?
In the Canadian Navy in the Second World War and D-Day.
A round of applause. Bless you, my friend.
He was 19 at Juno Beach.
19 at Juno Beach. How old were you at Juno Beach?
I was 19.
19. What a hero. What an incredible hero. Thank you, sir. We have to make this a country that is worthy of that hero's sacrifice, don't we? Give him a round. We will honor our veterans. We will ensure that the young and the old have the support they need for a dignified life. We will also rebuild the armed forces, cutting back on bureaucracy, procurement boondoggles, and putting the money into frontline support for our troops. We will reinvest to buy 4 massive Arctic icebreakers. We will double the size of the first patrol of the Arctic Rangers so that we can reclaim our north. We will have the first northern Arctic base in Canada since the Cold War, CFB Iqaluit. And as my wife just reminded me, our soldiers, sailors, and airmen will be guided by a warrior culture, not a woke culture. We will expand our cadet corps so that our young people can take mentorship from our military, our veterans, and our rangers, allowing our youth to learn about survivalism, riflery, service, and country. We will unite around common purpose, common values, common history, and our common commitment to the Canadian promise. We will fix the immigration system the Liberals have broken by rejecting the Radical Century initiative that proposes to triple the population to 100 million. And instead, while we welcome immigrants and we had the best immigration system in the world under Stephen Harper, we want to ensure that never again does our population grow faster than our housing stock, our jobs, and our health care. And when immigrants come here with talents and skills, we'll make sure they can put them to the use. We have 20,000 immigrant doctors, 32,000 immigrant nurses who cannot work in our hospital system. We will create a national Blue Seal system so they can prove they're qualified, get to work, bigger paychecks, reduce wait times, the Canadian promise for them, just like all of us. And we will unite our country around our history. There will be no more tearing down our statues. We will honor our past. Addressing the wrongs of the past is not about tearing down our history. It is about building it up. Let's build new statues to other heroes that have yet to be celebrated. Let's ensure that everyone can be celebrated as part of this great Canadian family. Let's put Terry Fox, the famous 5, and our soldiers back in the passport. We will be a self-reliant, sovereign people that stands on its own 2 feet and bows before no nation. We will harvest our resources, trade together, build homes for our youth, secure our borders, protect our vulnerable, and stand up as we raise our flag. We are not a nation of tax collectors and toll masters, of bureaucrats and busybodies, of gatekeepers and grandees, of rulers and rule makers. No, we are a nation of artists and adventurers, of entrepreneurs and explorers, of workers and warriors, of pioneers and patriots. What binds us together is the Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. That if you work hard, you can have a great life in a beautiful home on a safe street under our proud flag. That is the promise that I hold out as hope to those who are on the brink of giving up. If you are one of those today whose bank account and fridge have just both gone empty, my message to you is have hope, change is on the way. If you are an auto worker or an energy worker worried about losing your job, have hope. Change is on the way for you too. If you are addicted to drugs but determined to turn your life around and looking for a place to get help, you are not alone. Have hope. Hang on. Help is on the way for you too. We are going to bind this nation together. A united people committed to our promise and expanding it to all under our proud flag. Canada first. Let's bring it home.